Okay.
Okay, I think this is my third attempt at making this video because the first two times I had so many kids on top of what I was doing that it was a madhouse. I'm making chocolate chip cookies. And this chocolate chip cookie is the perfect mix between the crispy and the chewy. So you get crispy edges and a chewy middle, and it's perfect. All right, so there are a couple things that I want to tell you. When you're working with cookies, one of the number one things that you have to get right is the temperature of the butter when it's, when you're mixing it up. It has to be softened or it won't work. But you don't want it so soft that it's close to melting. So I've got 2 sticks of butter in here. I've also got a cup of white sugar, but I want to show you something. If you take your butter and you can make an indentation, that's about right. If it just absolutely squishes apart, it won't work. All right, so we've got a cup of sugar and a cup of butter. And we're going to turn that up a little bit. We're going to put our second sweetener in here. The white sugar acts to give you some crisp. The brown sugar will help make it softer. So if you want a crisper cookie, increase the ratio of white sugar to brown sugar. And if you want them chewier, you're going to use more brown sugar than white sugar. So we have 1 cup each. And we're going to let those come together and scrape down the bowl. Now, back here, and if you happen to see the temperature that's on my oven, don't panic. I've got one of those cheap little $5 thermometers in my oven, and that lets me tell exactly how hot my oven is. And I actually have my oven, it looks like it's set to 400 degrees. Mine runs about 25 degrees cold, so you want it at 375. So that's getting nice and hot and even. We're going to add 2 eggs. And unless something says otherwise, when you're baking, there's almost guarantee if that recipe was written in the past 50 years, you're going to use standard large eggs. That's just what you do. All right, so while that's working, we have 3 cups of flour, and could use a whisk, but I have no idea where mine went. So this is all-purpose flour. And we have a teaspoon of baking soda, a teaspoon of kosher salt, and issues with the camera. You can sift that together if you want to. I don't think it's really necessary. Okay, so over here, we have a nice homogeneous blend. How about that vocabulary? All right, so in here, we're going to add a tablespoon of vanilla extract. And then our flour, we're going to go in small batches. Sorry for putting the bottom of the bowl for you. We're going to work in small batches because if you dump it all in, turn your beater on, Vesuvius. So I like to work it in a little bit at a time. You don't have to go crazy with it, but so let's see, 3 batches. I happen to think this is the perfect chocolate chip cookie. And I'm right. I have a room full of kids back behind me, desperately trying to keep quiet and leave me in peace, because the contents of this bowl is going to be their reward. Alright, it's almost ready to mix the chips in. Now, like I said, the temperature of the butter is the number one thing that you might have to worry about. If it gets too warm, your cookies are going to hit the oven and spread out way too much before the gluten in the flour has time to set the cookie. So you want to keep it a little bit cold. How come I always decide to wear black if I'm going to be working with flour? I think I figured that out by now. Alright. That's about right. See the consistency there? Where it'll hold its shape. That's what you want. Alright, so we're going to stick our chocolate chips in there. You can use mini ones if you want to. It's about 2 cups. And if you want to use walnuts or pecans, although if you're buying pecans recently, you might as well just put gold nuggets in it. Have you seen the price of pecans? That's horrible. Anyway, Now is when you would mix those in. Now, the other thing that I like when I am making cookies, have I lost it? I have lost it. You wouldn't believe how frequently a child can take off with these. These are going to be a little bit smaller, and it does not matter. The only thing that you have to worry about is that they're all the same size. So you can make big ones, you can make small ones, but don't make big ones and small ones on the same sheet. Good Lord. Okay, it wasn't that hard, but. Alright, so here's what we're going to do. I am going to scoop these out. I'd say I'll probably end up with 16 on this tray. And I'm going to throw them into my 375-degree oven. And I will start checking these probably at 8 minutes. Because you want them to have begun turning golden, but you don't want to get them all the way to a true golden brown. Because you will have some carryover cooking. It's perfect timing. This is something else I have in the oven. So I tell you what, let me go ahead and dish these up, throw them in the oven, and we'll come back and show you what they look like before the kids find them.
Yeah.
All right, so I was right at 8 minutes. It's also going to be a little different if they're on the top rack or the bottom rack, because the other batch, look, it went in at the same time. These are slightly bit lighter. I don't know if you can see that. See? So these just came out. They're still puffed a little bit as they cool down. Now, here's the thing. If you pick up a cookie too early, it'll fall apart. So the best thing to do is to give it, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes on the cookie sheet, let it cool, and let it relax. Can you hear them back there? I was bribing them with warm cookies if they would just be quiet for a minute. And obviously, they were physically unable to do so. But that's all right. Because see, now I have cookies to work with. And ones that actually have cookies. I can usually get just anything I want. All right, come here, taste tester. These are very warm. Be very careful. All right, so kid cookies. It's melting. How is it? They're that good. They really
You're
are.
absolutely horrible. I'm joking.
So if you want the perfect chocolate chip cookie, a little crispy on the outside and still gooey in the middle,
Come on.
come right here. That's right. That's how you do it. Hot? What?